Ladies, let me ask you something. How many times have you assumed that men always want the same thing, the same moves, the same positions? We think they're simple, right? But what if I told you there are 5 positions men secretly beg for that most women never even try? And no, I'm not just talking about flexibility or acrobatics here. I'm talking about the kind of positions that flip the script, spark his obsession, and make him look at you like you just rewrote the entire playbook on intimacy. When it comes to intimacy, there's a widespread belief that men always want to be in the driver's seat, that they naturally thrive on leading and directing every move. This assumption is so ingrained that many women rarely stop to question it. But here's the truth that often goes unspoken. Men may look confident and eager to take charge, yet deep down they long for those rare moments when the roles are reversed. They want to feel what it's like to surrender control, to be led with certainty and boldness by the woman they are with. It's not a weakness or a contradiction to their masculinity. In fact, it's a hidden desire that can make them feel more connected, more desired, and more exhilarated than constantly being the one who calls the shots. Think about how much effort men put into initiation, whether it's making the first move, suggesting what happens next, or guiding the flow of intimacy. It creates a rhythm where he is the one expected to have the answers, to provide the energy, and to steer the direction of the encounter. Over time, even if he enjoys leading, this expectation can become a quiet burden. He might never say it outright, but there are moments when he wishes he didn't have to think, plan, or anticipate. What he secretly wants is for her to take that weight off his shoulders, even if only for a night. When a woman confidently steps forward and decides, "I'm in charge now," it's not just a change of position, it's a shift in energy that thrills him because it gives him permission to let go. Men beg for leadership in intimacy, not because they lack desire, but because they want to feel pursued, wanted, and chosen in a way that flips the script. Most women underestimate the power of initiation. Imagine him coming home after a long day, already accustomed to being the decision maker in his career, his family, and his daily life. If she takes charge without hesitation, leading with certainty, it jolts him into a state of excitement. It tells him she doesn't just want intimacy, she wants him, and she's willing to claim it without waiting for him to give the green light. That message is intoxicating. It takes pressure off his shoulders and simultaneously feeds his ego because he gets to feel desired in a way he rarely experiences. There's also something magnetic about confidence. When a woman leads, she communicates more than just a physical cue. She's showing comfort in her own skin, and that radiates attraction. He doesn't need her to be perfect or to execute every move flawlessly. What excites him is her willingness to take control and guide the experience with certainty. In those moments, it's not about her technique, it's about her energy. Men crave that spark of confidence, that sense of authority from her side because it creates balance. It makes him feel as though he's not the only one responsible for keeping passion alive. Instead, he gets to surrender to her rhythm, and that surrender is far more arousing than women often imagine. Leadership in intimacy doesn't always mean being physically dominant either. It can be as simple as her deciding where it happens, how it starts, or what pace it takes. It could be guiding his hands, controlling the tempo, or choosing the position without asking permission. These small acts of direction send a huge message. She knows what she wants and isn't afraid to go after it. For men, that is liberating. It takes away the guesswork, the pressure, and the mental load of always being the initiator. Instead, it places him in a space where he gets to enjoy, respond, and follow, which can be just as thrilling, if not more so, than leading. Confidence has always been described as attractive, but when it comes to intimacy, it transforms from a pleasant quality into the very fuel that drives desire. A woman who carries herself with confidence instantly changes the dynamic of the moment, no matter what position she chooses or how she initiates it. For men, confidence is not just about the physical act or the technique she uses, it's about the energy she brings with her presence, the way she owns her choices, and the way she expresses her desires without hesitation. This energy becomes more intoxicating than any single move because it creates an atmosphere of certainty and passion. Men may not always articulate it, but what they crave most is not perfection. They crave the thrill of a partner who shows up fully present, unafraid, and unapologetically in control of her own sexuality. There is something incredibly magnetic about someone who knows what they want and isn't shy about showing it. For many women, the hesitation to take charge comes from overthinking. Questions like, am I doing this right? Or will this look good? Or even, is he going to like this? That self-consciousness holds them back and often keeps them repeating the same safe, predictable moves. But when she allows herself to step past those doubts, her energy changes entirely. Men are not focusing on whether every detail is perfect. They're captivated by her willingness to own the moment. When she takes a position with authority, when she looks him in the eye with certainty, or when she initiates with no hint of hesitation, he feels a surge of attraction that goes beyond the physical. It's the confidence itself that makes the encounter unforgettable. Men often live with the assumption that they are the ones responsible for confidence in intimacy. They feel as though they must be the steady presence, the reassuring leader, the one who knows what to do. But this expectation can weigh heavily on them, and what they rarely admit is how refreshing it feels when the woman carries that energy instead. If she confidently decides how the moment unfolds, it tells him something important, that she is secure in her desires and she trusts herself enough to express them. That trust is magnetic. It creates an environment where he can relax into the experience rather than constantly measuring and adjusting himself to maintain control. Her confidence doesn't just arouse him, it frees him. The beauty of confidence is that it doesn't demand technical skill. A woman doesn't need to know every possible position or move like an expert. Confidence shines through even in the simplest gestures. The way she touches him with intent, the certainty in her pace, or even the playful way she pulls him closer communicates far more than any practice technique ever could. Men beg for this energy because it makes them feel chosen and wanted in a raw, unfiltered way. When she stops holding back and fully embraces her power, she creates a current of excitement that he can't ignore. It's not just her body that's engaging him, it's her presence, her boldness, and her refusal to shrink into hesitation. What makes confidence such a powerful aphrodisiac is that it changes the atmosphere between two people. Instead of intimacy feeling like a routine, it becomes an adventure. He doesn't know what she's about to do next, and that unpredictability heightens his arousal. Every movement feels electric because she is guiding it with certainty. Even if she makes a mistake or does something unexpected, the confidence behind it makes it thrilling rather than awkward. Men don't want a partner who is perfect. They want a partner who is alive in the moment, fearless enough to try, and bold enough to enjoy it without overthinking. That is why confidence is more than just attractive. It is the very essence of what keeps passion alive. The power of surprise is something that is often underestimated in intimacy, yet it is one of the strongest forces that can reignite passion between two people. Men crave variety far more than they usually admit, not because they are dissatisfied with their partner, but because their minds are wired to find novelty exciting. When everything becomes predictable, when the same moves are repeated in the same order, the experience can lose the spark that once made it thrilling. What men beg for, though often silently, is for women to bring that element of surprise into the bedroom, to step outside the routine and create a moment that feels new, playful, and unexpected. This doesn't require elaborate planning or dramatic gestures. In fact, it's often the smallest, most spontaneous acts that have the biggest impact. Routine in intimacy is comforting, but it can also be numbing. When a man knows exactly what's going to happen before it happens, his excitement begins to dull. He might never complain because he values the closeness and affection, but deep down, he's hoping for something different, something that jolts his senses awake. This is where surprise becomes powerful. When she shifts the dynamic suddenly, when she tries a position he hasn't experienced with her before, or when she changes the tempo without warning, it creates a surge of adrenaline. It makes him feel as if he's discovering her all over again. That moment of unpredictability reawakens his curiosity, and curiosity is one of the most potent aphrodisiacs. Surprise is not just about physical positions, though they play a big role. It is also about energy and timing. Imagine him expecting the usual pattern of intimacy, only for her to take control in a completely different way, perhaps initiating at an unexpected time or place. That sudden break from routine tells him she is not only comfortable with him, but also excited by him. It makes him feel chosen in a way that is far more powerful than words. Men may not say it openly, but they crave those moments when their partner does something completely out of character, something bold, playful, or adventurous. It could be as simple as whispering something unexpected, taking the lead in a way she never has before, or experimenting with a playful twist he never saw coming. Those surprises stick in his memory far longer than the times everything went according to the usual script. The psychological effect of surprise cannot be overlooked either. When the brain encounters something new, it releases dopamine, the chemical associated with pleasure and reward. This is why men become so electrified when their partner does something unpredictable. It's not just about the physical act, it's about how it triggers a rush of excitement in his brain, making him feel as though he is experiencing intimacy for the first time all over again. Women often underestimate how powerful this can be because from their perspective, routine feels safe and secure. But what men hunger for is the balance of security and unpredictability, the comfort of being with someone they know deeply combined with the thrill of never knowing exactly what might happen next. Surprise also builds anticipation for the future. When she breaks away from routine even once, he starts to wonder when she might do it again. That anticipation keeps the attraction alive between encounters. It fuels his imagination and deepens his desire to be with her. Rather than intimacy feeling like an obligation or a repeated pattern, it begins to feel like a mystery he wants to keep exploring. That sense of discovery is what men beg for, but rarely ask outright. They don't need something extravagant every time. What they truly long for is her willingness to add that spark of unpredictability that makes him feel excited, alive, and deeply connected to her in ways routine alone could never achieve. There is an aspect of intimacy that often gets overlooked, yet it is one of the most profound experiences two people can share, and that is vulnerability. Men are often expected to be the strong, unshakable ones, the partners who lead with certainty and control. This expectation doesn't end in daily life. It extends into the bedroom too. They are seen as the ones who must be confident, assertive, and dominant, always knowing what to do and how to do it. What rarely gets acknowledged is that men also crave the opposite. They long for the chance to let their guard down, to feel safe enough with their partner that they can release control and experience intimacy from a more vulnerable place. Certain positions allow this to happen, but it's not just about the physical act. It's about what those positions represent. They give him permission to let go of his role as the constant leader and simply exist in the moment, cared for and guided by her. For many men, vulnerability is something they carry quietly but rarely display. Society conditions them to see vulnerability as weakness, and even in private relationships, they often hesitate to show that side fully. Yet, within intimacy, vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength in its most raw form. It is trust. When a man allows himself to be vulnerable with his partner, it means he feels completely secure in her presence. This is why positions or dynamics that make him feel less in control can be so powerful. They allow him to drop the armor he wears all day long and sink into a space where he is accepted as he is, without the pressure of having to perform or lead. That freedom is intoxicating, not just physically but emotionally. When a woman creates that safe space for vulnerability, she taps into a deeper level of connection with him. Imagine how significant it is for a man who is always expected to be strong, decisive, and composed to suddenly be able to let all of that go. In those moments, he feels not only physically aroused, but also emotionally nourished. He experiences intimacy as something more than physical release. It becomes a space where he can be himself fully, stripped of the need to appear powerful or in control. That kind of experience deepens trust and creates a bond that no amount of routine intimacy can achieve. It's the kind of connection that makes him feel seen in a way he rarely does anywhere else. Vulnerability also shifts the power dynamic in an exciting way. When a woman takes charge and allows him to surrender, it doesn't diminish his masculinity. On the contrary, it strengthens the relationship because it shows that both partners can exchange roles and find balance. He learns that he doesn't always need to be the one holding everything together, and she learns how powerful her role can be in guiding and protecting his trust. This balance creates passion because it keeps the relationship dynamic. Instead of falling into rigid roles where one always leads and the other always follows, they create a flow where leadership and vulnerability are shared, each partner experiencing both sides of the exchange. The beauty of vulnerability in intimacy is that it brings authenticity. When he allows himself to be in a position of openness, he is not trying to impress or perform. He is simply present. She, in turn, gets to witness him in his most honest state, and that authenticity is where true closeness is born. Men may not put it into words, but they beg for these moments because they free them from the weight of expectation. They crave the relief of knowing that with her, they don't need to wear a mask, they don't need to be perfect, and they don't need to constantly lead. They can just be. And in that space, intimacy transforms from an act into an experience that lingers in the heart long after the moment has passed. Reversing the script in intimacy is one of the most thrilling experiences a man can have, yet it is something many women shy away from because they assume it might not matter or that he always prefers to be the one in control. Men are used to being cast in the role of the leader, the one who sets the pace and decides how things unfold. And while they may enjoy this, there is an unspoken craving for the opposite. They want to experience what it feels like when she flips the dynamic completely, when she is the one who climbs on top, sets the rhythm, or directs the pace without hesitation. It's not just about a physical change in positioning, it's about the psychological thrill of surrendering control to someone they deeply trust and desire. That reversal shakes him out of routine and ignites a fire that is both physical and emotional. What many women don't realize is how empowering it feels for a man when his partner takes control of the experience. It may seem counterintuitive, but allowing her to lead does not make him feel less masculine. It actually makes him feel more desired. When she chooses to take the dominant role, she sends a clear message. She doesn't just want intimacy, she wants him, and she wants it on her own terms. That directness, that certainty, strikes him on a deeper level than words ever could. He sees her confidence, her boldness, and her willingness to take charge, and it amplifies his arousal because he no longer feels like he's the only one carrying the responsibility of creating excitement. For once, he gets to respond rather than initiate, and that reversal is intoxicating. Reversing the script also taps into a man's hunger for novelty. No matter how satisfying intimacy may be, repetition eventually dulls excitement. By stepping into the role of leader, a woman introduces unpredictability and variety. She might set a faster pace than he expects, change the rhythm suddenly, or hold control longer than he anticipates. Each shift keeps him guessing, which heightens his anticipation and keeps the energy alive. It is not just a position, it is a performance of confidence and passion that tells him she is fully engaged and not afraid to show it. Men beg for this because it disrupts predictability, turning the familiar into something electric and fresh again. There is also a deeper emotional layer to this reversal. Men are conditioned to be protectors and providers, not just in life, but in intimacy as well. They are expected to be strong, composed, and decisive. When she reverses the script and takes control, it creates space for him to let go of those roles, if only for a short while. He can allow himself to be guided, to experience surrender, and to trust her leadership. That vulnerability strengthens their bond because it requires complete trust. He is allowing her to lead him in one of the most personal and raw experiences they can share, and that exchange of roles builds intimacy that transcends the physical. What makes this reversal even more powerful is the confidence it demonstrates. A woman on top, deciding the pace and rhythm, is not just moving in a physical sense. She is communicating something powerful about her own desire. She is unapologetically embracing her sexuality, and men find that magnetic. They don't see hesitation or uncertainty, they see passion, and that passion feeds their own excitement. It's not about perfection, it's about energy, boldness, and the willingness to claim the moment. Men crave that shift because it allows them to feel pursued, wanted, and consumed by her desire, which is one of the most thrilling experiences they can have. Playfulness is one of the most underrated qualities in intimacy, yet it is the very thing that keeps passion alive over time. Men often find themselves longing for more moments of light-hearted fun with their partner, not because they want the experience to be less meaningful, but because playfulness removes pressure and makes connection feel effortless. Too often, intimacy becomes serious, almost like a performance where each partner worries about doing everything perfectly. This mindset can create anxiety, hesitation, and repetition, which over time dulls excitement. What men crave, though they rarely express it openly, is not flawless execution, but the joy of spontaneity, laughter, and the freedom to experiment without judgment. Playfulness turns the experience into an adventure rather than a duty, and that shift makes it unforgettable. When a woman allows herself to be playful, she communicates to him that intimacy is not a test she has to pass, but a shared space for exploration. She doesn't have to worry about whether every move looks right or whether she is doing things in the exact order he expects. Instead, she embraces the moment with curiosity and energy. Men find this deeply attractive because it makes the encounter feel real and alive. It tells him that she is enjoying herself, that she is present with him, and that she is not trapped in her own head overthinking what comes next. That release of pressure invites him to let go of his own worries too, creating a cycle where both partners feel freer and more connected. Playfulness also fuels variety. When she is willing to laugh, tease, or try something unexpected, she prevents intimacy from becoming predictable. Even if she attempts a move that doesn't quite work, the shared laughter becomes a memory that bonds them rather than an awkward mistake. Men beg for this because they don't want to feel like every moment together is scripted or robotic. They want to feel that spark of unpredictability, the same spark that existed at the beginning of the relationship when everything was new and surprising. Playfulness keeps that spark alive because it brings novelty back into the experience without the pressure of perfection. There is also a psychological depth to playfulness that makes it so powerful. For men, the ability to laugh and have fun in the most intimate setting is a sign of comfort and trust. It reassures them that their partner feels safe enough to let go of self-consciousness and simply be herself. That safety is magnetic because it encourages him to do the same. In those moments, intimacy becomes more than physical connection. It becomes a space where both people can drop their guards, be silly, and still feel deeply desired. This combination of fun and vulnerability creates a bond that lingers long after the physical moment ends. Playfulness can take many forms. It might be a playful whisper, a teasing touch, a sudden change in rhythm, or even introducing something new in a light-hearted way. What matters is not the specific act, but the energy behind it, the willingness to experiment, to laugh when things don't go as planned, and to stay engaged without fear of judgment is what keeps him captivated. Men often beg for more of this because it reassures them that intimacy is not a chore or obligation, but a shared experience filled with joy. When she brings playfulness into the mix, he feels not only desired, but also emotionally connected in a way that seriousness alone can never achieve. That blend of passion and fun is what turns ordinary moments into lasting memories and keeps the desire burning strong over time. At the end of the day, what men beg for isn't complicated. It's not even about the mechanics of intimacy. It's about the energy, the confidence, the vulnerability, and the playfulness that women often hold back without realizing how much power they have in creating unforgettable experiences. Men don't just want positions. They want to feel surprised. They want to feel led. They want to feel free to be vulnerable. And above all, they want to feel chosen with confidence and joy. When a woman dares to step outside of routine, to reverse the script, to infuse playfulness, and to own her desires without hesitation, she awakens a side of him that words alone could never touch. Intimacy becomes more than physical. It becomes emotional, it becomes alive, and it becomes the spark that keeps a relationship not just burning, but blazing.